some of the times he does throw some nice downfield throws. You know, he had a couple of nice ones
The
tonight.
Bird to Myers,
Myers.
they're beautiful throws.
Right. And that's sort of what you kind of fall for, right? That's sort of what you kind of get caught up in is, wait a second, you know, I did the same thing in the Houston game. I broke down like 10 plays in that film review that week of Cam making some really nice downfield throws, but it's those little timing, you know, kind of deficiencies, those hiccups where a 3rd and 4 becomes a sack when it really should have been a conversion, or a 1st and 10 play that should have been a gain of 6 to 8 yards is a gain of 2 yards, and now you're behind the sticks. Those are the types of things that you need better from your quarterback, and it's not all on Cam. And I think this is sort of like the micro macro discussion that you can have with him. The macro discussion is they don't have enough at receiver, right? They have 2 guys that they send out there every single time with Jakob Johnson and the tight end that are zeros in the passing game. So they don't have enough as a receiver. But the second thing is that Cam is a timing throw is more of like a micro issue, is that each game you see him missing receivers, you see him not playing with great timing in the passing game, and that takes away a lot of points and a lot of yards off the field. So macro issue, they don't have enough at receiver. It's not all on Cam. Micro issue, there's definitely mistakes that Cam is making out there.
Well, so again, this is what it's going to come down to. People are clamoring for it. Do you make the move or not? I mean, to Stidham earlier.
I think the question is with Stidham moving forward is, do you feel like he has a better grasp of the timing and sort of just the scheme, right? You have to figure out ways to have this offense be on time and be on schedule, because once they get behind the chains, they're in big trouble. When you get a sack or a negative play or that holding on the scramble that you pointed out, like those types of plays just completely torpedo this offense because they don't have the skill talent to go from a 2nd and 18 to a favorable 3rd down situation where they can actually convert. So if Stidham can keep the offense on schedule more and make those types of timing type throws a little bit better, then my guess is he can't, and that's why he's not playing, right? But if he can, it's hard to argue at this point that he couldn't offer you more than Cam, just in terms of operating within structure, within the scheme, because too much. And I've given Cam a lot of breaks. I really have. Kind of put it to the side for the last couple of games that he's only thrown for 69 yards last week and 80 something yards the week before, and said, who cares? They won 45-0. It doesn't matter. Right. But this week, this game, they needed Cam to be a lot sharper than he was in this game to have a chance to come back and pick up the defense after they got kind of gashed in the first quarter, and it just wasn't there.
No. And that's, again, it's, we're now looking at it again. It's not all stats, okay? Right. It's not all about the stats, because last game they didn't need him to throw for more than 69 yards.
Right.
Didn't need it. But when you need it, the conversation always comes back to that. When you need it, can you get it? And we don't know. You've seen it once, maybe twice all year, and that's basically it. And that's the problem, is when you're controlling it and you can roll with it and you can run the ball and do the thing that you do, great. Play the Cam style, let him run it too. It's all working. When you need to pass your way out of trouble, I think at this point, definitively, we know Cam Newton can't do it. And again, so much of this has to do with a lot of things here. There's nobody creating terrific separation. The weapons aren't there. It's not the type of offense where you need a prolific passer, because
and it's also not the type of offense that, like, I don't think this is Cam. This is what Cam should be running, quite frankly. But their passing game, what they've tried to do is they've tried to merge Cam concepts with the old Brady offense and some of the passing offense, because that's the system, that's the scheme. So some of it is going to have to still be a little bit of that Brady timing, anticipation, throwing guys open. That type of stuff still needs to exist for them because it's the same playbook. But they've tried to do a lot of things to kind of alter this playbook to Cam's strengths. And some of those downfield throws that we do see are, I think, throws that are more Cam-like. But the problem is 3rd and 4, you got to have it, and he just doesn't get the ball out on time and runs himself into a sack. And it's just, time and time again, you see those types of plays with Cam on tape, and it's frustrating to watch because we've watched the other guy for so long, and Brady was so good at that type of stuff that it just was a completely, Brady hits that 3rd and 4 in his sleep. That's an easy completion for him, and that's just not Cam's game. So if he's not going to be the guy moving forward, that he's not grasping that aspect of the offense. I'm not saying he's played terrible all the time, but he is not grasping that timing, anticipation, structure throws. He's not grasping that part of the offense. So maybe either you need to throw that part of the offense out in the offseason and build with him moving forward with a completely different type of passing game, or you need to go to another quarterback.
And that's the thing, is now here we are again. We're back to where we were, that the season essentially is over. You think at 6-7 again, we've said it, unless they're mathematically eliminated, you can't see Bill Belichick pulling the plug here. I just don't understand at this point anymore. And again, we keep talking about the locker room and this and that. Maybe it takes one more loss. They're not really sure. And Stidham closes out the season with the last 2 games. It's possible. At the end of the day, I just think that the most important thing the Patriots can do, and I think what most fans feel, is you just have to see if you have anything with Stidham, giving him a game wire to wire and see what happens. Again, I'm not comparing him to other situations, but you just have, you see other teams trying it out. And until you do, you don't really know, with Jalen Hurts in Philly most recently. And again, that was in relief. You throw a guy out there, you see what they do. And that's the only way you're going to figure it out. You're entering next season with the biggest question mark at quarterback. At some point, you just have to say, give Stidham 3 games, see if he can play. And that will help me make a decision about what I'm going to do next year.
I think the hardest part about it is that if they have a script that they can play with Cam Newton, but it has to be the script that they played against the Chargers now. And they're not going to win every game 45-0. But that opening 13-play drive with 10 runs, you run it right down the defense's throat and you get up 7-0. That's how the game fits your script. That's how you can get into the type of team that you want to be. When you get into 10-0 against a team like the Rams and a defense like the Rams have, and you have to start to do other things that aren't just running the football and using Cam's legs as a threat, it's a really difficult hole to climb out of for this offense. So I don't want to completely blame it on Cam, because I thought early on McVay gave it back to Belichick a little bit there in that first quarter. He took him to school in the run game, especially schematically, all game long, really. I mean, it was not a good performance, I didn't think, from the Patriots coaching staff on defense, because I was saying it all week that, you had to expect that McVay was going to do something different.
Something different, right?
He wasn't going to run the same game plan. They ran a ton of 2 tight ends tonight, and they ran a ton of things up the field vertically in the running game, not just the outside zone stretch plays. There was a lot of plays up the field, pulling guards, pulling tackles, doing different types of things in the run game, and the Patriots were not ready for it in the first quarter, and it killed them, and that's how they got into that 10-0 hole. But it's tough, because this game is still a game where if Miles Bryant's pick 6 stands and Cam doesn't throw his pick 6, you take 2 plays off the board right there, and it's a much different game.
It is, and that's the thing, is it was almost impossible. Again, the confluence of events there, those 2 scenarios there, the 2 pick 6s back to back, one that wasn't, one that was, and then obviously that 4-play goal line situation with the Patriots where they come away with no points. That's it. That's everything. And then you lead into the third quarter, they score a touchdown, and it's good night. So it was not as lopsided as the score would indicate at the half, but it got away from them, and then they just simply couldn't work their way back.
Yeah, and that's this team, right? This is a front-running team. This is a team that has to play from ahead. They can't get into a 10-0 hole, and that's why I kind of put it a little bit on the defense more so than Cam, is because that's not how they want to play. And in a lot of ways, I was a little bit surprised. Did they win the opening toss? We just signed off on the
yeah. I missed that, honestly.
Yeah, me too. So I'll go back and check. But I was a little bit surprised that they didn't take the ball if they did win the toss, because that to me, I think it could be something that this team would need to do moving forward is take the football, because they have to get out to a lead. They have to play the game on their terms. They can't be a team that has to throw their way back even to 7-0 is something that is, tough for this team to do. So that first quarter buried them, and you have to give Sean McVay and the Rams coaching staff on offense a lot of credit for throwing out that Super Bowl game plan and having the birth of runs and the variety of runs in their package to be able to go to some things different, but just throw out that Super Bowl game plan and come at it from a completely different perspective was really impressive by Sean McVay. And I really kind of, am low on McVay, not as high as some other people are, but after tonight, I give him a ton of credit.
Again, and however you feel about McVay, you have to discuss just what Jared Goff and who Jared Goff is. And it's very clear Jared Goff is an extremely limited quarterback. They didn't trust him to do anything once they got the lead there, went almost into complete shutdown mode. Just didn't want to turn it over, didn't want to put it in his hands. Yeah. Everything was safe there. And so, I mean, outside of that touchdown drive, which was basically, I think, 16 plays, but 12 of them were runs.
Right.
Culminating in a pass, and again, a boneheaded jumping offside there on 4th down, where that again, you're looking at major plays that could absolutely swing the tide of the game. That was another. Who knows? Obviously, the Rams could still have, if they don't jump offside, just get a 1st down on that play. You don't know, but again, just disastrous, situations the Patriots kept putting themselves in. And whether it's Cam or whatever, I want to ask, if you start that second half with Stidham, do you think there's any difference?
I gotta think no, because I gotta trust the Patriots coaches that they know, that they know what Stidham looks like in practice, and they know what they're getting out of him. I just went back and checked. By the way, the Patriots did win the toss and deferred. I think that was a little bit of a mistake, and I think this team needs to set the tone early with their running game offensively, and needs to put together one of those 10, 13 play drives that takes 8 minutes off the clock and gets up 7-0 and is able to play from ahead. So I would second guess that decision to kick it off, definitely. But in terms of Stidham, I don't know. I don't know if he's the answer to fixing all these problems, because a lot of the issues that I see with Cam, I think Stidham also has timing, accuracy in the underneath and short throws. We see a ton of.
You don't think he gets the ball out quicker though?
I think he may be a little bit quicker, but holding on to the football has been an issue for him in every game that we have seen him play, serious snaps in as well. So I'm not totally, I'm a little skeptical that he's going to get the ball out any quicker than Cam, but I think you can certainly make the argument that Stidham deserves a chance to see what he has, because again, I've given Cam a lot of breaks about his passing stats recently, because I really didn't think that they needed to go to that necessarily and needed to open up the passing game against Arizona or against the Chargers. But now you're in a situation, along with just seeing what you have with the future, where there is clear issues with Cam in the passing game that go beyond just the receivers and the struggles that they have with talent at the receiver position. When the scheme works and you need to make those throws within the system, they have to come out. The ball has to come out and the ball has to be there. Otherwise, you're not an offense that's going to create 10 to 15 downfield shots a game where Cam's going to have opportunities to make big plays down the field, because you don't have the skill talent. So those 3rd and 4 plays where there's an open receiver and he doesn't pull the trigger, that's killer for this offense.